few things I'd like to say before someone puts forth a question or have a comment they'd like to share with everyone. Of course, you know, Guru Nana ordinarily would be present with us. Today she wasn't able to, but she sent a message wishing everyone a happy new year, and she included in her message a small statement about the precious human birth, the fact that we are human beings. Little text message, and I thought it would be something I would like to say a little bit about at Satsang, because I think it's been a while since I've talked about this precious human birth, the fact that of all life forms that we could have taken on, that we were born human beings. That when you look out and you see the squirrel and the dog and the cat, the rat, the roach, every life that exists is a life form, precious life, and it is to be respected. But the human form, the life that expresses itself as a human being, is the most precious form of life that exists, because it is only in this form can life know itself and express itself to its fullest. We are conscious beings that are capable of being conscious of the fact that we are conscious. All the other life forms, they don't express themselves at that depth and that degree. They cannot do what you see human beings do. They cannot be all that life can be in the form that it is. But it doesn't mean that they are to be respected any less as a life form. It's just that in terms of the ability of that life to express itself in awareness, it's limited. And being that we have the ability to know the life in its fullness, then our responsibility is to manifest that, to realize that. That's what it means to act as a responsible human being to the deepest depths. Answering the call, even the word responsibility means the ability to respond to a particular call. So we have a responsibility in being human beings, those of us who are fortunate enough to know the value of this precious human birth and have received the teachings as it relates to enlightenment. We have a responsibility to realize that. And I think that many of us, we take it for granted, the fact that we are in this human form, and we can waste our time and energy in doing things that don't help us to realize the purpose of our human birth. We're born in this human form so that we can know who we are in the fullest. And that's what enlightenment is. That's what Christ is. That's what Buddha is. Buddha and Christ are terms that relate to the consciousness that has fully awakened to itself. And it's not really an individual matter. It's not something that happens to an individual. It happens in consciousness, and that life expression through that particular person, we say that they are enlightened, but that doesn't, that's not something that's just registering on a personal level. It's an impersonal thing. They themselves do not see themselves in any kind of individual way. Every life that exists, and everything has life, even inanimate objects is full of life. Everything, even in what we say things are dead, there's life in that which is dead. And remember, we said life has no opposite. that which has no opposite is all that there is. Dead and alive are opposite, living and dying, birth and death, but life has no opposite. So enlightened being sees him herself as all beings, as everything, because that's all there is life. We are not awakened to that, so we're not fully conscious, and we can't see that, and we act out of that limitation. And those limitations that would have us not act on the basis of us knowing ourselves as a Christ or a Buddha, those limitations is what we refer to as ignorance. Just forms of ignorance, not knowing who we are. And our main task is to remove the ignorance that keeps us from seeing who and being who we really always have been, always will be, can never not be, except that we're not aware of it. And many different terms have been used to refer to the condition that we're in. It's like we're in a state of spiritual amnesia. We've forgotten who we are at the level of our spiritual reality. And in some sense, as conscious beings, we're not even really, in our essence, we're not even human beings. Your humanity is an expression of the life. So you're not even really human at the core of your being. In fact, there's really no labels or nothing can be placed on who and what we really are in essence. But we can experience it. We can't think about it. We can't really talk about it. I'm a human being. I'm a spiritual being. I'm a this. Anything that can be named is not it. Because when you name it something, you're defining it. But nevertheless, in attempts to communicate, at best, what comes close to what it is, we use names, we use labels, we use, language. But in truth, all that we speak about it is not it. So that's why sometimes you hear said that those who speak and talk don't know, and those who know don't talk. That's alluding to the fact that the truth is something that you have to awaken to, and you experience it, and all that you can communicate about it mainly is it can't be done in any kind of verbal sense. And most of what you hear in the teachings of those who have awakened, they try to help people to see all of the things that keep them from realizing who they are, all of the false things that they become attached to. And in seeing what is false, then there's revelation, and the truth reveals itself. Who you really are is a revelatory experience. You're not going to discover who you are in any type of affirmative sense. I'm going to find who I am. I'm going to discover. I'm going to resurrect. There's nothing that you, or for who you think you are, can do. You don't have the power, the might, the intelligence at that level of who you think you are to bring that about. It doesn't happen that way. It's more a matter of you purifying yourself and becoming free of the conditions that cause you to not be aware of who you are. And it's a matter of just becoming relaxed and releasing yourself of all the things that would have you think in ways that limit your awareness. And in fact, thinking itself is one of the things that limits you from and prevents you and obscures the awareness of this truth of who you are. And remember, I've said before how this ignorance that keeps us from knowing who we are is not a layer that just exists and it's just there. It's something that's being recreated on a moment-to-moment basis. It's a momentum of a mind stuff, of activity and things that's predominantly thinking that keeps you from knowing who you are. And this is why most of meditation practices involves you disengaging yourself from your thoughts, your thinking. You want to silence the mind so that something deeper than thought can be contacted by your attention and brought into the sphere of your awareness, and then that's how you discover who you really are. So this and having this precious human birth is beyond words in terms of the value that can be attached to it, because we have an opportunity to really know who we are, and not knowing in a cognitive sense, in an awareness. You know, the language that we speak in English, it only uses one word for know, and that limits us. A lot of the other languages, Eastern languages, have more than one word for the word know. There's another know that's used that conveys a participatory knowing. It's not that you know about something, it's a knowing that is alive. And that's what, in fact, that's what gnosis is. Knowing thyself at that deeper level where there's a participatory, there's a connectedness where all things are seen to be as one. That kind of knowing. It's an intuitive knowing. And intuition is a knowing that don't require thinking. It's just immediate. You know without thinking. You know without even understanding. It's just a knowledge that is. And each of us can access this knowledge once we disengage our mind off these worldly thoughts, worldly issues, and realize that there's something much greater to aspire to be in terms of being aware of than what's always competing for our attention to be aware of. Things that the world wants you to be aware of. Mundane values. So every day is a day that we should be grateful in having this human birth and having an opportunity to know ourselves across the entire spectrum of our being. And you look at all the other life forms, they repeat and do the same thing. They operate and function off of habits, instincts, instinctively. So you don't see them building relationships across the globe with other people and all, they just got their own little habitat and they do their little things. Birds, they migrate and go to other places during certain seasons, times of the year, and they set up their little nest and they eat their food, and they do the same thing over and over and over again. But when you look at what humans are doing, we're very innovative and we're very creative, and we're able to establish an understanding of relationships that goes out into the cosmos. We can contemplate and wonder about stars, a constellation of stars, and then we can learn about their position in such a way that we can draw energy from them if we configure certain structures on the land and align them to those stars. We can draw on the energy of the cosmos, and this is what has been done in Kemet, in ancient Egypt, with the pyramids and most of the temples. Ancient man was very much in tune with nature and the cosmos in ways that he was able to benefit from the energies of the cosmos. And so we can contemplate and think and wonder to that degree. But the greatest wonder is related to that type of consciousness that's able to wonder about all of these cosmic events. The consciousness itself that's able to make everything that exists intelligible to itself. Knowing that consciousness, knowing thyself, that's what the greatest task that many of us are supposed to be challenged to overcome. Not knowing the one who knows. And many wise people have said you can know everything and all there is to know in the universe, but if you do not know yourself, you're still fundamentally ignorant.